Why do some people die full of regret, while others leave behind peace, purpose, and quiet dignity? The difference often lies in one thing: how they choose to live each ordinary day. In this video, we explore a rare, emotional moment from Keanu Reeves' speech, where he reveals the simple truth about what truly matters in the end. It's not fame, not money. It's something we all have access to, yet so few of us truly value until it's too late. Watch until the very last second, because this isn't just advice, it's a mirror, and it might reflect exactly what your soul needs to hear today. Let's talk about a hard truth today, for things that can diminish your value in the eyes of a man. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about your actual worth, because you are priceless. What I'm referring to is how you present yourself, how you allow a man to perceive you. There are things that make a man respect you, and there are things that make him turn away. If you settle for the bare minimum, that's exactly what you'll receive. Don't allow a man to give you only 50% when you're giving your all. A man will only rise to the expectations you set for him. If you don't demand respect, effort, and commitment, he won't offer them on his own. Men are like water. They take the path of least resistance. If they can get something easily without effort, they will. Not because they're bad, but because they respond to the standards you enforce. Think of a job. If a company pays you the same salary whether you work hard or slack off, what would you do? Most people would start slacking, because that's human nature. Relationships work the same way. If you don't set boundaries, if you don't require effort, if you don't demand serious commitment, then don't be surprised when you receive half-hearted treatment. Your value isn't determined by what you silently endure or sacrifice. Your value lies in knowing what you deserve and having the courage to ask for it. If a man knows he can show up late, cancel plans at the last minute, or ignore your needs without consequence, why would he do better? There's no magic moment where he suddenly realizes, I should treat her better, even though she accepts my worst. That's not how it works. A man changes only when he understands that if he doesn't step up, he'll lose you. It always starts subtly. Maybe he forgets to text back. Maybe he stops making plans the way he used to. You brush it off. He's just busy, right? But it doesn't stop there. The neglect becomes a habit. The attention fades because he knows that no matter how little effort he puts in, you'll still be there, still waiting, still accepting. And then one day, you sit there wondering, why doesn't he cherish me like he used to? Why aren't things like they were in the beginning? The answer is simple. You allowed it to happen. A relationship doesn't sustain itself in the same way forever. It lasts only in the way you set the tone from the start. If you set high standard from day one, he has only two choices: rise to meet them or walk away. And trust me, if he walks away, he was never the man you truly needed. There's a fine line between being understanding and being a pushover, a doormat that anyone can step on. You can be compassionate, you can be patient, but never let your kindness become the reason someone takes you for granted. Understanding means recognizing that everyone has bad days, struggles, and weak moments. But being a doormat means continuously tolerating poor treatment and accepting less than you deserve. Love does not mean suffering in silence. It does not mean turning a blind eye to disrespect. A man always knows when he's putting in the bare minimum, and if you keep allowing it, he will keep doing it. You set the standard for how you should be treated. Let's be clear, having high standards doesn't mean being demanding or playing games. It's not manipulation, and it's not about making someone chase you. It's about self-awareness. It's about knowing you deserve a man who keeps his promises, makes you feel valued, and puts effort into your relationship with unwavering respect. A man who truly wants you in his life will do what it takes to keep you there. Men are natural pursuers. They don't shy away from fighting for what they truly want. If he's not making an effort, if he's not stepping up, it's not because he's confused. It's not because he's scared. It's simply because he doesn't value you enough. And if that's the case, why waste your time? Think about the successful, confident women who have strong, fulfilling relationships. Do you think they accept mediocrity? Absolutely not. They set standards, and the right men step up. They don't waste time begging for love or chasing validation, and neither should you. They know their worth, and they walk away when something isn't right. That's the energy you need. When a man realizes that you demand respect, He has two options: respect you or leave. And no matter what, you win. You need to stop thinking you can change a man just by loving him more. That's not how love works. A man doesn't change because you love him harder. He changes because he wants to. You can give him everything: loyalty, devotion, unconditional support. But if he doesn't respect you, none of that will matter to him. And respect starts with what you allow. Every time you ignore a red flag, you teach him that it's okay. Every time you accept an apology without change behavior, you show him there are no consequences. That's why some men treat certain women like queens while treating others as an afterthought. It's not about looks or money. It's not about how beautiful you are or how much you earn. It's about the boundaries you set. If you're always available, always forgiving, always giving without expecting anything in return, that's not love. That's making yourself easy to take for granted. Love should be mutual, balanced, and fulfilling. It should not make you feel like you have to constantly prove your worth. A man should pursue you not because you're playing hard to get, but because he genuinely values you. And that value isn't expressed through sweet words. It's reflected in what you allow. Stop settling for his potential. Stop waiting for the day he changes. Stop making excuses that he can't do better. If he wanted it, he would. When a man truly cares, he won't be foolish enough to lose you. He won't leave you questioning, wondering where you stand. His sincerity will be evident in his actions, not just empty promises. That's the truth. A man can sense desperation from miles away, and it is anything but attractive. The moment you start chasing, pleading, doing everything in your power just to keep him, he begins to lose respect for you. A queen never begs for a seat at the table. She knows she is the table. Desperation shifts the balance in a relationship entirely. The moment a man senses that you need him more than he needs you, the power tilts in his favor. But this doesn't mean you should play mind games or pretend to be indifferent. Your worth isn't in convincing someone to stay. A relationship should be a mutual effort, not a dynamic where one person constantly proves their value while the other merely enjoys the attention. Think about the relationships you've seen, where one person is always the first to text, always the one making plans, always forgiving and accepting inconsistency. What happens? The other person grows complacent, taking that effort for granted and investing less and less. Why? Because they realize they don't have to work to keep you. Without the fear of loss, there's no urgency to appreciate. When you show someone that no matter what, you'll always be there, you unintentionally diminish your own value in their eyes. And that is the problem. When a man knows that no matter how lazy or indifferent he becomes, you won't leave, he will stop cherishing you. Desperation kills value. It signals that you are willing to accept anything rather than demand what you deserve. A confident woman enters a man's life and adds value, but she does not make him her entire world. She has a life outside of the relationship, her own passions, goals, and happiness. She doesn't rearrange her entire existence to accommodate him. She doesn't beg for his time or attention, and that, in itself, makes her even more magnetic. Confidence is intoxicating. It tells the world that you don't need a man to exist. You choose him because you want to, not out of fear of being alone. And that makes all the difference. When a man knows he is chosen, rather than just a last resort, he respects it. He puts in the effort because he knows he's with a woman who won't settle for half-hearted love or mediocrity. On the other hand, when a woman loves from a place of desperation, everything changes. She loses herself. She starts making excuses for mistreatment, ignoring red flags, convincing herself that if she just loves harder, sacrifices more, he might change. But love doesn't work that way. You can't make someone love you by losing yourself. The truth is, the more effort you pour in, the easier it becomes for him to take advantage of it. When you do everything, when you're always the one initiating, sacrificing, and enduring, he has no reason to try. And when something comes too easily, people rarely cherish it. Men are wired to value what they have to work for. This doesn't mean you need to play games or make things complicated, but you do need to understand that a man should feel like he has to earn his place in your life. If everything is handed to him without effort, he will eventually lose interest. It's like anything else in life. The harder something is to attain, the more people appreciate it. But if it's given away too freely, too quickly, they don't think twice about it. That's why some men chase after women intensely at first, but the moment she starts giving everything, doing everything, they pull back. Or worse, walk away. Not because they're cruel, not because they're bad men, but because that's human nature. The pursuit, the effort, the sense of earning something. It all plays into how a man values a relationship. When you give too much without receiving anything in return, you teach him that he doesn't have to try. And once that expectation is set, you will always be the one carrying the weight of the relationship, while he simply coasts along. Once you willingly give everything, it's nearly impossible to go back and expect him to suddenly start trying harder. He won't. Not because he's intentionally unkind, but because you've already taught him that he doesn't need to. Because you'll always be there, still giving, still enduring. That's why setting standards from the very beginning is crucial. You have to make it clear that your time, emotions, and energy matter. They are not to be wasted, and not just anyone gets access to them. But many women fear that if they don't give enough, the man will leave. And the truth is, maybe he will walk away. But ask yourself this: if a man only stays because you're the one doing all the work, is that the kind of love you want? You don't need to prove your worth to someone who doesn't recognize it. You don't need to lower your standards, tolerate neglect, or accept a one-sided relationship. If you constantly have to chase a man, you are in the wrong place from the start. A woman who knows her worth understands when to stop, when to walk away. She knows that real love is about giving and receiving, not a one-sided chase. She doesn't wait for a man to realize her value, because she already knows it herself. And most importantly, she doesn't lose herself in a relationship, because she understands that her happiness isn't dependent on anyone else. That is the energy that makes a man put in the effort. When he sees that you are perfectly fine with or without him, he realizes he must bring something valuable to the table, that he must prove himself to be part of your life. Desperation only pushes men away, whereas confidence is irresistibly attractive. This isn't about arrogance or mind games. It's about recognizing your own worth. You deserve love and respect, not to be in a position where you have to beg for it. A man will only treat you at the level you allow. If you accept emotional scraps, that's all you'll ever get. But if you set a standard, the right man will rise to meet it, while the wrong one will simply walk away. And that's exactly what you want. The way you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you. If you tolerate toxic behavior, endless excuses, or emotional neglect, you're sending a message: I don't value myself enough to walk away. The way you speak about yourself, the way you allow others to treat you, it all matters. A man is always watching what you accept, and that tells him exactly what he can get away with. If you continuously forgive disrespect, he will never feel the need to change. When you accept apologies without real change, he learns that he can continue his behavior without consequence. And once he realizes there are no consequences, the cycle will repeat itself endlessly. People don't treat you based on their nature. They treat you based on what you allow. Think about the strong women you know. The ones who command respect, who are cherished in their relationships. Do you think they achieve that by settling for half-hearted love? No, they set their standards from the beginning. They don't waste time on men who bring uncertainty and inconsistency. They don't feel the need to explain why they deserve better. They already know, and they walk away the moment they sense anything less than what they are worth. Self-respect doesn't mean being cold or rigid. It means understanding your value so deeply that you refuse to engage in anything that diminishes it. When a man sees that you respect yourself, he understands that being with you is a privilege, not an entitlement. And privileges must be earned. If he doesn't appreciate that, he will lose the chance to have you. It really is that simple. Yet, so many women keep giving endless chances, tolerating behavior they know in their hearts isn't right, simply out of fear of losing the man in front of them. But what is the point of keeping someone who doesn't respect you? A relationship without respect is nothing more than loneliness in a crowded room. You have someone by your side, yet you feel lost and empty. You must be willing to set boundaries and enforce them, because a boundary without consequences is just a suggestion. Think about it. If you tell a man you don't tolerate lying, but then forgive him every time he deceives you, what lesson are you teaching him? You're showing him that your words hold no weight, that dishonesty carries no price, and where there is no price to pay, there will be no change. A man needs to understand that if he doesn't treat you right, he will lose you, not as a threat, but as a reality. Because a woman who truly respects herself doesn't sit around waiting, hoping a man will change. She leaves when she realizes he won't. It always starts with the little things. Maybe at first, he cancels plans last minute without a valid reason. Then he dismisses your feelings when you express hurt. Perhaps he makes jokes at your expense, expecting you to laugh it off. If you let these things slide without addressing them, you're silently telling him you can endure them. And once you accept it, it won't stop. It will only get worse. Small things grow into bigger things. A momentary disregard for your emotions can turn into complete emotional neglect. And by the time you realize how much you've tolerated, you may feel like it's too late to change. But the truth is, it's never too late. The moment you decide to honor yourself is the moment you shift how others treat you. The man beside you is always observing how you treat yourself. If you constantly apologize even when you're not wrong, he will start to believe that everything is your fault. If you keep seeking his approval, he will learn that he can control you simply by withholding it. If you make him the center of your world, he will begin to act as if he is above you. This isn't because men are cruel. It's simply human nature. We all test boundaries, sometimes unconsciously. That's why you must set them early and enforce them firmly. When you treat yourself with respect, everything changes. You no longer need to over-explain your worth. You no longer have to convince someone to see you the way you deserve to be seen. You don't sit around waiting for a man to recognize your value. Because you already know it. Because when you know your worth, everything shifts. You start attracting different types of men. The ones who see your strength and admire it. The ones who step up rather than pull away. The ones who don't need to be taught how to love you the right way. They just do. These realizations only come when you stop making excuses for mistreatment. When you stop believing that loving him more will change him. When you no longer hold on to the hope that one day he will wake up and suddenly appreciate you. The truth is, a man only truly values what he has to work for. If you make yourself too easy to take for granted, he will take you for granted. If you don't require effort, he won't offer it. If you tolerate disrespect without consequence, he will keep testing how far he can push your boundaries. That's why self-respect isn't just about emotions. It's about what you allow. You cannot expect a man to treat you better than you treat yourself. If you constantly put yourself last, he will do the same. If you let others walk all over your boundaries in other areas of life, he will assume he can do it too. Confidence is built through action. The more you respect yourself, the more natural it becomes. You no longer feel the need to explain why you deserve better. Your actions make it clear. You stop chasing love, because you understand that real love is never something you have to chase. And let's be clear, self-respect isn't about acting indifferent, playing mind games, or creating distance just to test someone's loyalty. It's simply about knowing when to walk away. Self-respect means not lowering your standards just to hold on to someone. It means refusing to endure mistreatment out of fear of losing them. It's understanding that love should make you feel secure, not like you're in a never-ending battle for validation. A man who values you will rise to meet your standards. A man who doesn't will complain that you're asking for too much. Don't waste your time on a man like that. Your greatest power in a relationship is knowing your worth so deeply that you never settle for less than you deserve. When a man realizes you hold yourself to high standards, he has only two choices. Either step up to meet them or step aside. And that's exactly what you want. Because the right man will never feel threatened by your self-respect. He will be inspired by it. In the end, what truly matters is not whether someone treats you well, but whether you have the courage to set boundaries and refuse anything less than what you deserve. Your worth is not in someone else's hands. It's in how you choose to treat yourself. Remember, real love never requires you to sacrifice your self-respect. Thank you for watching this video. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and share to spread this lesson to others, and subscribe to continue this journey of self-growth. See you in the next video.